Hey all, Jackson here. Welcome back to Daily Endeavours for the 3rd of July. As always, there'll be timestamps in the description if you want to just fast forward to one of these options that you're looking for and you just want to skip everything else. This set's a lot more civilized than it was yesterday. There's no DLC requirements here. And yeah, most of these options are pretty straightforward. If I were to choose, I would probably go defeat enemies, probably crafting, and then a Mundus Stone Boon. Though versus as well is just fine. And yeah, one player in Cyrodiil, if you get on at a time when Cyrodiil is like super busy, you could probably just jump in and defend a keep that's like about to be under attack or something, or just follow a group around, and this will just take a few minutes usually anyway. But it's very dependent on your own skill. But I'll try to get a kill here because you don't need to kill them yourself. You just have to have done some sort of you've participated some way to the cause of someone dying. So even if you just light attack them once or hit them with a bit of siege and like 10 seconds later they get killed by something, it still counts. So this one's not too bad either. It's just because Vengeance is a lot easier, because normally like players aren't really as what's the word? There's not, the population isn't as normally high, so there's not as many players to choose from. But right now, when it's busy, it's fucking busy. So it's a lot easier at the moment. That's why I normally skip these ones, but right now it's pretty good. Alright, so crafting with any skill, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You know, you could just go creation in like clothing or blacksmithing or something, get a couple of style materials, a bit of low-level materials, and just craft some stuff. You can do writs as well. You know, you've got your all your different equipment crafting writs. You'd only have to do a few to get this done because it's 3 items per item, or 3 items per quest. But my preference for this is to do a provisioning crafting like strategy that it requires a little tiny investment of gold at first, but after that you can just do it whenever you want for free. So what you need is either like 1 or 2 things. So you want baked apples. Now, if you've done the Zeal Zenithar event, you'll probably have this already, and you'll be able to do this quite easily. But you also want to have banana surprise, which also costs a little bit of gold. But believe me, these 2 are very much worth it. If you've been doing the quests a couple of times and you've got a little bit of gold from the Zenithar event, please consider spending them on these 2, because whenever these crafting ones come up, and it's the weekly as well right now, you can do both of these for free once you've got those 2 recipes. And anytime these come up, and they do come up quite frequently, anytime provisioning or any skill comes up, you can just do this shit really easily. So once you've got those 2 recipes, just use them up, because you can use these at level 1. You don't have to have any prior provisioning leveling. You can just use those recipes as soon as you, like on a level 3 character if you want. Right, so we're headed to this square pier right here in the southeast side of Volkagard in Oridon. Now, this area here, it's got a couple of things you want to look at. So there's this tray right here. This is why we want the banana surprise recipe as well. So you've got bananas and you've got apples. If you come onto this boat here, you've also got an apple basket here. And then over here, there's also an apple basket. It's just empty right now. So with the way that containers work in this game, these are all like technically considered containers because they're like a thing that you can search, and they give you items. Sometimes they're empty, sometimes they're not. If you come back, if you leave the zone, come back here, some of these will have stuff on them, and then things that were normally here might not be here. You know, it's just a bit of RNG involved. But naturally, you should be able to get at least 4 items here. And later on, once you level up provisioning enough from doing this, because you'll get a little bit of XP each time. Once you get to provisioning rank 7, you'll get chef, and you don't even need that many provisioning items from that point anyway, because yeah, you start doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling the amount of items you get per go, to the point in which you literally will, at max level provisioning, you just need 1 apple or 1 banana, and you can just get this one done whenever it's 4 items. But if there's not enough stuff to get 4, if you're really unlucky, either just leave the zone by going to the way shrine, leaving, and come back. Maybe do your one of the other options and then just come back. Or what you can do is, if you queue for Imperial City or Cyrodiil, you can go there, find the way shrine just next door, and then you can travel back here. Now, if you go Imperial City, you go out the exit, and it'll take you back to where you queued in from. So if you queue in at the pier, you will come back at the pier and everything will be reset. So that's probably the quickest way to do it in the game. Now let's come over here and I'll just craft these items here. So the 2 recipes will be in fruit dishes. So let's go the banana surprise and we'll just go everything. And that's it. So whenever this comes up, just do that, craft the, or cook the apples or the bananas. And yeah, from this point on, you will never need to spend any more gold on this again. With the minimap, it's moved. Right, so now I'll talk about a Mundus Stone Boon. So all of the base game zones, so these ones here, all the ordinary ones, all the Ebonheart Pact ones, and all the Daggerfall like base game 2014 zones, they've all got a bunch of Mundus Stones in them. The ones that the easiest ones to get to, I think, is going to be this one here, the Lady in Vocal God again. So just traveling a little bit north from the Wayshrine this time, northwest. It's up here. This is probably, like, if you don't have any Wayshrines unlocked, this is probably the quickest one to get to. If you do have the Wayshrine for it, one of the quickest to get to in the game is the Ritual, because it's literally right next to the Wayshrine and as well as stables. If you do want to get access to this one eventually, use one of the houses in Sentinel and use home tours to get there. So, House of the Silent Magnifico, for example, go down to Browse Homes here, and you go H. House of the Silent Magnifico. So you just look that up, travel there, go out the front door, and it will take you there. And so you don't have to run around looking for like passage there. You can just do it yourself. And then if you just travel up the water here, go around this way, and you can just come to the Wayshrine here, and then you've got it. Now, if you want the Thief, which I think is most people's Mundus Stone, the Thief can be found here in Eastmarch. I think this is the best one to go with. And again, home tours, look up Frostvault Chasm, which can be found... Where is it? It's somewhere around this area here. Use that in home tours, and you just need to travel a little bit southeast. But that being said, the best way, I think, like above all of this stuff, is to use a Guildhall, because if you manage to find a specific Guildhall, some people will have all the Mundus Stones in them. So in that case, you can... So the reason I say this is because once you grab a Mundus Stone, you get that boon. And most people will want like a very specific boon because it complements their like build the best. And in most cases, that's going to be the Thief, especially for damage dealers. And so what you need to do is you need to acquire a new Mundus Stone boon, and then you want to go around and find the other Mundus Stone boon. And what Guildhalls do is they will situate, assuming they've been competent in their house building, they put all the Mundus Stones in the same location. So that means instead of, for example, going and getting the Lady and then going to the Wayshrine, traveling around to Eastmarch, going through a loading screen and going all the way to the Thief. I mean, it's not a long travel, but yeah, that loading screen. You ignore all that. You just come to one of these Mundus Stones here. You take it, and then you walk a couple of meters away, and then you get the Mundus Stone you originally had and originally wanted. So it just saves you a little bit of time. That's all it's doing. But yeah, either of those options work, and yeah, just make sure you make use of home tours, because this thing is so fucking good for convenience. Now, I will also link in the description as well. There's a website with all the Mundus Stones, all the locations in all the zones. So let me bring this up. So this one here. So if you go down, you've got each of the Mundus Stones. Excuse me. What they do, the buffs they give, and they compare with 7 pieces of Divines, which is also important information, because most people wear Divines these days in PvE. And yeah, also gives you all the locations for all of them. Now, it doesn't... Yeah, it does show you Cyrodiil, but I wouldn't use Cyrodiil, even with Vengeance, because, yeah, like, if, for example, you want the Thief again afterwards, it's like... Going over here with Ebonheart Pact or Old Mary might be rough, because you might not have any territory nearby. So my advice is use Guildhalls or use PvE Overland. It's much simpler. Yeah, I'll link this in the description for you. I'll also link the Guildhall here for EU, and I'll also link one for NA. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any for console, just for PC at the moment. if anyone has like an at name or like the house name in home tours that they can provide me for console, I would very much appreciate that, just so I can provide people with the ability to get these guild halls on console. Because yeah, for console this also makes it very convenient. But yeah, I don't play on console, so I wouldn't know. Okay, so Infinite Archive. So firstly, where do you find Infinite Archive? It's found in the Apocrypha Zone. Now this zone is part of the Necrom DLC, but you don't need the DLC in order to access this. Everybody this is available to them. You just need to locate this here and just travel via Wayshrine, because there's no actual entrance here in the actual zone, so yeah, it's worth mentioning. Now, this is basically like a arena that lasts an infinite amount of time, hence Infinite Archive. So you can basically do this until you just can't fight anymore, like it's just too tough for you. But 2 verses is very quick. It's a couple of minutes usually. So a verse comes from a stage, and the very first part of Infinite Archive that you'll get is just 2 stages. After that it'll be a boss, but you don't have to fight the boss, it's just stages. And these are pretty damn easy. They're not as easy as like Overland, but they're pretty easy. If you can do a normal dungeon, you can easily do an Infinite Archive stage. Infinite Archive cycle even. Alright, so in order to get to these archival wings, firstly, defeating enemies. This will also, you'll defeat a couple of enemies from coming through here. So if you do these first before you do your enemies, and that way you'll get a little bit of this done first as well. So you want to come through this door. Wouldn't bother with the quest, just on the basis that 2 stages is not enough to get the quest done. You need to basically do 4 times as much stuff. But yeah, so when you get into these stages, you'll get these black circles. These start the stage off. So until you hit that, you can just like prepare yourself, whatever you need to do. And as soon as you enter it, you start the fight. Now, the first stage will always have, it'll be 2 melee enemies and a ranged enemy. So what I suggest you do is go to where the ranged enemy is, and the melee enemies will follow. So it just means that it's easier to stack the enemies up, because the melee enemies will follow you, the ranged enemies don't. I should also mention, you can bring a friend in here. Infinite Archive can be done by up to 2 people at once. And as far as I'm aware, the difficulty doesn't change if you bring someone else in. So there's no theoretical downsides to bringing a friend in. You can also bring a companion in here too, which that can help, especially like for taking aggro from you, so you can do other stuff without getting stunned and whatnot. Alright, don't want to stand in that, get out of that. So stage, the last wave of a stage will always have a tougher enemy like this. Some of these can be quite tough, others are quite forgettable. Just depends. Oh god, I'm getting wrecked. So this guy here, the main thing with this guy is he has like a quit hitting yourself mechanic. When he holds a shield in front of him, he does it now. So don't attack him when he does this, otherwise he'll reflect and attack back at you. I think that's why I almost died before. Yeah, so that's what he does, and then so that's what I got hit by. So if he does that, just block. And that DK standard, do not stand in that, it fucking hurts. So the last wave of every stage should have one of these guys. Not always, but usually. Alright, so that's one stage. Then we get a verse. And now we get basically a powerful buff. So you go through and you literally just do the same thing again. That's it. So again, you just get the stage, you go to this black circle to start it off. Now these verses, what they do is some of these give you a very powerful buff. This one, for example, is really strong because you summon a mage and he just obliterates enemies nearby. But yeah, sometimes you can get really shit verses that don't really do much for you. Sometimes you can get verses that are so absurdly powerful that it just trivializes the next fight. If you want to get out of here, once you've completed the second stage, go through the door into the cycle to fight the boss. Instead of fighting the boss, you'll see this door here. And what you can do is just go out through the door. it'll take you back to the foyer, and then you just go to the portal here, and this gets you back out to the way shrine that you came in from. You can also just use your house too. For example, go to houses and go to Mara's Kiss. Just go use this, and then just travel near the way shrine anyway. And you can do that within the actual arena, like the stages itself, so just for convenience sake. Alright, defeat enemies. Defeat 40 enemies. It is quite funny seeing this as opposed to yesterday's ones with scribe abilities. The fact that you have to defeat the same amount of enemies is just ridiculous. Like, I don't understand why they make it so hard with the scribe one. Yeah, anyway, so this is very easy. You can go basically anywhere and find enemies. Now, there is a point to be made that instance areas are great for this because you're not waiting for enemies to respawn. In most cases, it's fine. The other good options I would say is firstly Domins. Domins spawn quite a few enemies. You'll need a few Domins to get this done. For example, you'll probably go through 3 here, maybe 2 depending on how many players there are around. But Domins are pretty good because normally these require you to get kills with like certain skills, and in those cases you don't want to be grouping up with people. But because in order to defeat enemies naturally, just like with this endeavor, you don't actually have to get the kill as long as you've dealt any damage to them. It's just like the kill player one. You don't have to get the kill yourself. You just have to be there and have done some damage in some way, and then you'll get the participation anyway. So with this one, it really doesn't matter where you go. You can do public dungeons. You can go to, for example, public dungeon. You could go to Crow's Wood in Stonefalls, just next to the way shrine that you start with, just down here. You could go to Star Plain and kill some enemies here. You could do the Domins and Oridon. You could go to like a more secluded public dungeon like Lion's Den. You can do instance areas as well, which is what I recommend, just because in some instance areas there are tons of enemies. Like, for example, Rawr Catacombs is amazing because there's just so many enemies in such a small area that you're just not waiting long to find them. But I like to use Whereas one as well for this. Because just like yesterday with the 40 enemies with scribe skills, there's 40 enemies here that you can easily access. So this room here is like so good. It's got 21 skeevers in total, so this is the first group I'll suggest. So pull this one, and there's no worries of like what skills you got to use, so just use whatever stuff you have available, whatever you want to use. So sometimes one of these skeevers will not follow you. Alright, that's kind of normal. And yeah, just go nuts, kill everything here. You might aggro a crocodile or two. These crocodiles are actually quite tanky, so just be aware of that. They're actually tier 1 enemies, so they're like sort of like mini bosses. Well, not really mini bosses per se, but you know what I mean. They're a lot tougher. So yeah, you got tons of enemies there. Now you just come down here, and you've got a group here. So what I'll do is I'll just aggro this group. Bring them in here because it stacks all the ranged enemies up in the background here. Get them in a nice juicy stack and then just AoE the shit out of them. And then just finish off all the remains of them, and you're done. And then if you need more, there's like a group of 8 here, and then there's a bunch of skeevers down here too. So that, in total, the skeevers in the first room, the enemies here, and then the enemies here, that's over 40 enemies. So yeah, you'll get all you need from this. And if that's not enough, what I suggest you do is just make sure you go up here and check in this room if you've aggroed all the skeevers. Because every now and then I see that one skeever doesn't actually get aggroed. And so I just have to come and grab them. You can also use the crocodiles in there too, but they're very tanky. Same with the boss just in this room here, Slimecraw. Just way too tanky to bother with. It's got like 600k health. You might as well go and kill all the little enemies instead. Yeah, that's all there is to doing this one. So again, home tours will be your best bet for finding places like this to use. So for example, if you want to go to Rawr Catacombs and do this, there is a house here you can get via home tours, and if you just travel up here, go down this route, get the way shrine here, you've got easy access to this point from Skyreach. You can go up the waterfall here. There's like a little parkour minigame you have to go through basically to get up here. But yeah, sometimes it takes a while to do that, so yeah, there's nothing wrong with just going down the road. And same thing with Stormhaven, if you want access to Wayrest Sewers 1, because the first time you get access to this, from this point you can travel here via Wayshrine, so it's very convenient, and then when you leave, you go back to the Wayshrine that you started with, so it's again, convenient even more. So if you want this, again, Gardener House here in Home Tours, just travel here, go out the door, a little bit south, over the bridge here, and then through here there'll be a little like a decline that you can just like walk down, and there's just like there's like a tunnel here that you just enter, and then you've got Wayrest Sewers 1. You can also get the Wayshrine here too if you want it later, because there's a lot of guild traders you could use here for various stuff. Alright, so now let me try and cover, at the best of my ability, how to kill a player in Cyrodiil. So the most important thing to keep in mind with this one is that you don't need to kill them yourself. Obviously, it's the easiest way to do it, if you're good. But if you damage a player and another person kills them, it still counts for you for the endeavor and for the sake of the Golden Pursuit. So you just want to make sure, at least, that you can survive. And the way to do that is make sure you have a ton of heals. So on this character, I have literally most of my back bar is just heals and like defensive buffs and mobility. Those are all things that are important in PvP. The way that you do things in PvE is vastly different. Consistent damage is king in PvE. It doesn't matter very much in PvP because players can heal through consistent damage much better than they can burst. So yeah, worth keeping in mind for that. So it's worth noting as well that regardless of your character's level, even if you're level 10 and you rock up here, your stats are exactly the same inventions as everybody else's. So this is absolutely the best time, I think, for people who aren't too familiar for PvP to come into it. Obviously, it's a struggle if the population's low. That's why I'm doing this on NA right now and not EU, because EU populations are way too low. Whereas this one, I can kind of find people relatively easily. So yeah, low level, even then, you've got everything access. You've got all the class skill lines, you've got all the weapon skill lines unlocked, and you've got all of Alliance War too. Even if you haven't done much PvP at all, you'll have all this stuff. So you can peruse to see what works for you, but generally what I think you should always have is a couple of things. Firstly, a couple of damage skills. You don't need many. You want a spammable, you want something delayed if you can get it. Like Curse here, for example, is great on sorcerers. You want an execute if you can get one, because enemies with low HP are sometimes very difficult to finish off, because they tend to roll around and try and heal themselves way more. And then, yeah, you want to try and have one offensive ultimate as well, because offensive ultimates are a good source of your damage sometimes. And then the rest of your skill bars will just be buffs and heals usually, and a stun. You also make sure you want to have a stun, because sometimes players are way too fucking hard to kill if they just like this sorcerer. If I didn't get stunned, I'd probably be such a pain in the ass to deal with, because I just have so many heals. So yeah, stun. You want to have every buff that you can get that's like really good. I think the few buffs that you want to have at least is Major Resolve, and you also want to have Major Breach. The best way to get this is from Destruction Staff, I think, because you can apply this from range. And yeah, most classes will have their own source of Major Resolve as well. You've also got Major Breach from Sword and Shield. That's actually quite good. And yeah, all the skills are actually different in PvP. Most of them have like different effects. Some have their buffs removed, stuff like that. So worth making sure you understand. The other thing is make sure your quick slot bar is full. These are all infinite items. You never... Yeah, as you can see with the tooltip for the potion, it always seems to refill itself. So this stuff here, you can use as many times as you want. And you want to be using this stuff. You want to be using potions whenever you can, if you need resources. Have this shit like on cooldown constantly to make sure you never run out of resources, because this can save your life. Heal, like repair walls if you don't know, like if you're just running around, you don't know what to do, because you can get AP from doing that. Put these down if you see a keep that's about to become under attack. You want to make sure at any time, if you're going to go out and fight people, that there is a forward camp that you can spawn in. Even like when you're attacking too, try and have forward camps out that people can respawn at, because you can only respawn at friendly keeps that are not currently under attack, so that kind of can restrain people's ability to help each other sometimes. And then you want to make sure you have all the siege weapons, because these are all pretty useful. This one's great for front doors, close range, countered heavily by oils. Oils are great for defense. Ballistas are pretty good for both. Usually stone trebuchets are pretty good for both, but better for offense usually. These three here can be used to destroy doors. These two here are good for walls. And this, yeah, the only thing this one's good for is defending. And yeah, this one you just place around to allow people to respawn at the location. So one easy way to get this done is to just follow a group around. Whatever they do what they do. The hive mind mentality. Because Zergs in PvP with Vengeance are like unstoppable. The more players you have, basically the more unstoppable you are. Because every skill right now has a cap of 3 targets. I think the only exception to this is Destruction Staff Ultimate. And even then, that's like it's one hit, like one big hit in a relatively small area, considering that's an ultimate. About the same size as maybe like a ballista, maybe. That being said, ballistas are also good too, because I'm pretty sure they don't have a target cap, but they only hit once. But yeah, just doing this is enough to get a kill, right? So I don't actually kill any of these guys, I'm pretty sure, but their deaths count for this. Yeah, all you have to do, as soon as you see this, as soon as you see like a little amount of alliance points from a death, even if it's like 1, even like 1 or 10, that would count. And the other really easy way to get some kills is using Siege. Either ballistas, shooting them out, hitting a bunch of people. If they get killed by others, it's a very easy way to just like get some participation, because all those guys, if they die in the near future, you will also get participation for that. But there is nothing that comes close to the fucking raw power of a couple of oils on a bunch of people down below. This shit fucking hurt. If you can set one of these up on like a high ground from where a bunch of people are hitting with like battering rams, or they're at the wall or like the door, if you hit these people with a bunch of these things, they fucking wreck shop. They do so much damage. Alright, so I think that little couple of seconds there just sort of is a great way to explain all the best ways to sort of keep yourself alive. Didn't take a ton of damage here, but it's just like kind of the 3 things you should do. Firstly, healing. You can see I've got all the heal buffs are on me right now. I've got Vigor, I've got the regen, I've got my major resistance buff as well. Buffs are super important. Heals are super important too. Just make sure they're on you at all times. Otherwise, yeah, you just run out of health super fast and you can't really do anything. Second, roll dodge. As soon as the ultimate was popped on me there, I just immediately turned around and fucking roll dodged. Unfortunately, the ultimate can't be dodged, I'm pretty sure. The laser? Maybe it is. But all the rest of the damage you saw, like a couple of dodge tooltips there. So I dodged a bunch of shit there with that. And then line of sight here. I can't, like, especially for someone like me who is like almost entirely range damage dealing, if I can't see, I'm kind of useless, because I can't really deal any damage to you, because I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to try and stay away from you. So yeah, those are all really important things there, and buffs too. So on my front bar is where I've got Surge, and that gives me minor Berserk. And that is only on the current bar. So I have that on the front bar for dealing damage, because that increases damage, right? So just logic with buffs and stuff like that. Yeah, there's the character menu. And here's the other thing, stuns. So yeah, I mean, this guy's overrun, but the stuns are like super helpful in this, because if people are stunned, they can't block, they can't cast, they have to break free and use some of their resources to get out of it. There's just a lot of advantages to having a stun, and just I don't think you should ever try and fight people without one, because it makes it so much better, I think. And yeah, that's that bloody Zerg mentality. The more people you have, the better chances you'll have of winning, essentially. Alright, so that's everything. I reckon I probably got like 1 or 2 kills that entire time myself. Like even then, there were other people helping me, but like I reckon 40 of those were assists. Like, and that wasn't long. That was probably like 20 or 30 minutes of running around in Cyrodiil. That was not long. So yeah, you can get this one done pretty damn quick if you just run around following groups and just attacking whoever you see and just spam healing whenever you get focused. So yeah, don't be afraid to try this. Like, if Cyrodiil is busy, I wouldn't really bother with it if there's like, if all the pops are currently low. But yeah, any questions, as always, just give me a holler. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching for now. Thanks for your support as always. I'll see you next time, and take care.